It's another episode of Sports Yak Podcast. Who types this stuff? Just run it, hit play, hear it, get it done with. I'm Jim Shorts. I'm an icon. The class of 2019 Indiana sports writer and sportscasters Hall of Famer Chuck Freebie and the other butt monkey. Who cares? Hit the subscribe button. I'd hate to miss a second of this junk. Sports Yak, the podcast. Now that's good. Now turn it off.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of Disney Plus Reviews. I'm one of your co-hosts, Phil Souza, and I'm here with my good friend, co-host, and the guy who's the Woody to my Buzz Lightyear. It's Jack Alterman.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. I don't know the word to this song, but you got a friend in me. Thanks, Randy Newman. I almost said Paul Newman.
I would love to hear Adam Sandler doing You Got a Friend in Me.
Friend Andy does the best Randy Newman impression you've ever heard.
Oh, really? I'd love to hear it.
It's the best. It's the best.
It's the best.
We just keep winning. It's the best.
It's January 2020, and there's no more Mandalorian, not for at least another year. If you're just joining us for the podcast, let me say we are an unofficial Disney Plus podcast reviewing the most popular stuff on Disney Plus. We just wrapped up a season of our show, basically covering every episode of The Mandalorian. So if you are just now tuning into our podcast and you've watched The Mandalorian, obviously watch The Mandalorian first before you go back and listen to those episodes. We spoil every single part of every single episode, but we'd love for you to go back and listen to those. I think we did a pretty good job. I'm pretty proud of our kind of assessment of those episodes, the Mandalorian episodes, as they released. We just, with every episode that came out, we talked about it. So you'll get to hear us like making some guesses and some predictions, some of which we were right about, some of which we were wrong about. And I think those are just fun to go back and listen to. So definitely check those out. But today, because Mandalorian is over, we are moving on with our lives, with our world, our Disney Plus world, and moving on to other things. Last week, we kind of teased that we were going to do a Pixar review, just kind of talk about Pixar in general. Obviously, not all, but most of the Pixar movies are on Disney Plus. So it's just kind of your one-stop shop to watch all things Pixar, which is pretty cool. And for a pretty cheap price, too, $7 a month. And so we're going to talk about Pixar just in general. I watched 2 Pixar movies this week.
Wow.
I thought I'd at least get one in, but I got 2 in. One of which I'd never seen before, so I'll kind of give it a review of that movie that I watched. And that'll be kind of part 1 of the show. Part 2, I want to have like a brief, I don't think it'll take very long, but a brief conversation about movies that are delayed on Disney Plus and why is that, and several different reasons why some movies are not, as of the time of this recording in January 2020, not on the service. Of course, if you're listening to this in the future, they are probably available.
Everything's available.
Yeah, the whole world.
Well, in the future, in 20 years,
Disney will own everything.
Disney Plus will own everything.
Yeah.
We will all report to Disney Plus. You will report to Disney Plus, or else you will get assimilated into the Matrix.
Yeah, it's the Borg of movies.
You will be digitized.
You will be assimilated.
Digitize this one. No.
We like to end every show with what else are you watching on Disney Plus, and I actually have a really cool one to suggest for that segment. And then we'll talk about, at the very end, we'll talk about what we're going to cover next week, just so if you want to kind of follow along with us and watch the same things we're watching, to kind of jump in with the conversation, albeit one-sided conversation. We'll kind of let you know what we're going to do next week. So we're kind of in a holding pattern throughout January, and then in February we'll probably go back to another series and review every episode of that. Right now we are thinking the final season of the Clone Wars, which releases in February. So
exciting.
It's
an exciting time.
Jack, Pixar.
What
are your thoughts?
I remember very vividly when Toy Story came out, and I thought, this is different. Something's different about this. And the way it was done. And if you go back and watch the original Toy Story and then you turn around and watch Toy Story 4,
yeah,
4? Yeah. You're just like, wow, like it's come so far.
Yeah.
But in 1995, right? Isn't that when Toy Story came out?
Yeah.
It was like epic. Like it was like, I cannot believe this is possible. And then there was a computer game. I remember there being a computer game. There was a Toy Story computer game. And then it tied, I don't necessarily tied in well, but it was like, yeah, this makes sense. And like it was computer graphics.
Are you talking
too,
about the Super Nintendo game?
There was a Super Nintendo game. There was also just a straight up PC
Did
game.
we own that game and we played the crap out of it?
Yeah, it was great.
I love that game.
So you know what I'm saying? Like they did a good job of tying those things in.
Let's talk about 1995. So like that as far as animated pictures go and stuff like that, it was like nothing anybody had ever seen before. Like I remember going to the theaters. Keep in mind, like in 1995, most people don't even have personal computers at home. Like this is a completely different world. This is almost 25 years ago. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly 25 years ago this year,
which is nuts.
And so, like, I mean, we had a PC at home. I think maybe got the internet that year. So this is a very, very different time in our history, in our technology history. I remember going to see the original Toy Story movie in the theater with friends, and on the way we were saying, so the whole movie is made by computers? Like, computers made this movie. I mean, like, obviously people had to like click the mouse and stuff like that, but like no one drew anything like with a pencil on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Like it's all like computers generated this animation. And it was so weird. Like it was just bizarre that this was even like a full length. So there had been other movies, and Pixar had even done some like some little shorts and stuff like that, but to have a full feature length film completely computer generated was so bizarre to the world, and for it to come out and be a smash hit. Like I could see it, for any theater, for any studio to hit a home run on their very first movie is extremely rare. For Pixar to be able to pull it off with a brand new medium, a brand new technology that had never been used before, and the movie being great is just like that kind of lightning in a bottle will never strike again.
Well, and the big thing with computer-generated image, we used to talk on the horror movie podcast. I would talk about Jurassic Park being kind of the thing. It would happen in '93.
Yeah.
So if you saw computer-generated images after '93, and they were in a big budget movie and they were kind of crappy, you'd be like, "How's that possible?" Mm-hmm. There was Jurassic Park. Well, Toy Story now made computer-generated images for, I don't want to say cartoons, but cartoons possible. Animated things possible. Because before that, the computer-generated stuff we'd seen wasn't very good. And I always liken it back to like TV, or not TV. There's the Langoliers, which is a book by Stephen King that was made into a movie. And it's like, I just remember seeing it on TV a lot.
Yeah.
So the CGI in it was so bad.
Yeah, it
was like beyond bad, like stupid looking.
So not only there was CGI before this movie, but it had not been like the entire film was made in CGI, and even the CGI that was in like very short snippets, even in the early '90s, right before this movie came out, was not good. And so the fact that they did like a whole like whatever it is, 100-minute long movie entirely 100% in CGI was just mind blowing.
What an arduous journey that was probably to create that thing.
And I can't remember the exact history of it. I feel like I should know since I'm such an Apple guy. But I think it was during this time period. I think it was maybe even before Toy Story came out. But at some point, Steve Jobs actually became like the CEO or some kind of director at Pixar, and ended up, I think, owning Pixar or running the show at Pixar before his big return to Apple in the early 2000s. I think it was. But yeah, I'm sure Steve Jobs had a lot to do with just kind of the direction of the studio at that time too. He was very innovative.
Well, and just the way it was put together in general. Joss Whedon is one of the people that wrote the screenplay for Toy Story.
Oh, for the original?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's weird. It's just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Also, Jim Varney's in it.
I love Jim Varney.
Me too. Ernest P. Worrell.
Yeah, man. It's hard to beat that first movie. For me, like as time has gone on, and I've seen 20 more. There's 21 movies that Pixar has made as of the time of this recording. There's actually 2 coming out this year, and neither of them are sequels, which is crazy to me.
What are they?
One of them is that I think it's called Just Beyond. Mm-hmm. Let me look it up here. it's their output continues. I'm sorry, it's not Beyond, it's Onward, and then the other one is Soul, and then they have another one that's I think announced called Gigantic, but I don't know if that one's coming out this year. But they are continuing to put out an amazing amount of movies pretty frequently, and you know. So here's my. You don't have to agree with me. My take on the original movie, the original Toy Story, is that is fantastic story. Obviously, great characters. It's if I were to rank that movie amidst everything else, and you think about the great movies that they've released, like Monsters Incorporated, Up, Wall-E, Incredibles. It's for me. It's hard to go back to. Like, have you gone back and watched it recently?
Yeah, it's not as good.
Our 3-year-old, our Jordan, our 3-year-old, is super into Toy Story, so we've watched a lot of Toy Story over the last few months.
Yeah.
She has 5 Toy Story characters as toys now, like at home that she plays with all the time. She's big. She's a huge Toy Story fan. Going back and watching the original movie, it's not as good for me. It's not as good as 2 and 3. And
they were figuring some things out. So
yeah, but the CGI is rough to go back to, like go 25 years back to, even though at the time no one had ever seen anything like it. So
the parent company, by the way, I'm just going to give you this one. The parent company for Pixar from 1979 to 1986 was Lucasfilms.
Okay.
The owner of it, when it had an owner before it became just conglomerated into Disney, from 86 to 2006 was Steve Jobs.
Yeah. So, did he create the studio then, or did he?
Technically speaking, he was the largest shareholder, and he had been the biggest funder.
Okay.
Of the thing.
I knew he was big in that. So. I'm sure some like super Steve Jobs fans would say, oh, like Pixar would have never done any of that without Steve Jobs. I don't know that I agree with that. I do love Steve Jobs and everything he's done for technology, but I feel like someone else probably could have taken the helm as well, but he definitely has a lot of influence on that. Especially
if not him, Ashton Kutcher. Probably done it.
One of the two for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, his innovation, his ability to take like burgeoning technologies and blow them up into something huge. Obviously, he left his imprint on that. So
he did, in fact. Toy Story, an American original. Onward.
So yeah, Onward and Soul are the ones that are coming out in 2020. They're coming out only 3 months apart, which is really weird. And the fact that they're both brand new property IPs, they're not like they're not sequels to any other thing that they've done in the past. Brand new characters, brand new stories. They're coming out in March and June this year. So like honestly, you may probably not. I was gonna say you could probably see them on the same day, but they probably would fade one out and then the other one will come in. But it's a little weird that they're coming in such close proximity, but
there it is.
So here are the 2 movies, the Pixar movies that I watched this week, and I watched them both last night, both of them back to back. Finding Nemo,
okay,
and Finding Dory.
Okay.
So I watched both of those movies back to back last night. One of them we watched with Jordan, our 3-year-old. The second one, she had already gone to bed, and I watched Finding Dory. I had never seen Finding Dory until last night, so I'm coming fresh off of the heels of just watching that for the first time.
What'd you think?
Finding Dory is a much better movie than the original, and that is probably not a popular opinion. I did a little bit of research before doing this episode, and I found like 5. I just picked like the top 5 in Google, best Pixar movie ever ranking pages. And 4 out of the 5 had Finding Nemo in their top 5. They said Finding Nemo is one of the best Pixar movies of all time. For me, honestly, Finding Nemo may be my bottom 5. Like it's definitely my bottom 10, maybe my bottom 5.
Really?
I think Finding Nemo is highly overrated. And here's why. The movie is very serious, and I don't think that there are times where Pixar does serious right. Mm-hmm. Like I think Up is phenomenal. I think Wall-E is phenomenal. There are some movies that have been released where I think Pixar is really saying something about the world and is, I think Inside Out has, in its serious moments, are really meaningful. In Finding Nemo, there's almost not, it's very serious and yet not meaningful in any way, shape, or form for me. And I'm just saying for me. Mm-hmm. But like, that obviously the main theme of Finding Nemo is about letting go, letting your child come into it, his or her own. Like, that Nemo, kind of gets lost and obviously Marlin has to go out there and find him. And at the end, he realizes, hey, you can't just helicopter mom or helicopter dad this child
Yeah.
for the rest of your life. He has to live his own life.
Yeah, just because you lost a fin doesn't mean I'm going to lose a fin, Dad.
Lucky Finn. But that's kind of the only thing that the movie has to say, and it says it for an hour and 35 minutes. So, honestly, the movie only really has something to preach about for about 10 minutes of the movie, and the rest of like the 100 minutes or whatever of the movie is just action set pieces, and it's literally one note. Like it's them. Okay, how are they going to escape the sharks?
Right.
How are they going to escape the jellyfish?
The dentist
how are they going to
office.
escape the
I think the biggest escape in all of it is the dentist office.
I did like the dentist office heist. Basically, was really smart. That was probably my favorite part of the movie.
Well done.
And obviously Dory is hilarious, but she's much funnier in Finding Dory. The Marlin and Dory scenes mostly are about them just escaping things that are trying to eat them.
And can I say
that's
this,
most of the movie.
Phil, and can I just, I hate to speak any reality into this.
Yes.
But I thought about it a lot. There's no way they escape that dentist office in real life.
Yeah, no way.
Like, I'm just saying, I understand. Okay, listen, I know this cartoon.
Have you seen Finding Dory? There's crazy.
I have.
There's crazier things that happen in Finding Dory.
Well, I'm telling you right now, there's no way they escape that. And you know what I'm saying? I don't want to limit fish. I know people are listening and they really want these fish to have the same, abilities that we have. And same lives. They want us to have
rights.
Well, but they can't do this.
No,
they can't escape this. They had to have a fish bowl. They had to have a tank. Then they had to have quick access to the ocean. It's not possible, guys.
No.
Stop kidding yourselves.
To be fair, they would have never gotten out without that pelican flying into the dentist.
Absolutely.
Office and wreaking havoc. But
So it's lower on my list because the reality factor of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like a movie like Up,
yeah.
totally could happen.
Yeah.
In real life. I mean,
Houses flying with balloons.
Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to us all the time.
Yep. People living inside our brains.
Ratatouille.
Rat Chef.
I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, we see these things. But I'm drawing the line at finding.
That's where you draw the line.
Nemo.
Okay.
I'm drawing the line at finding.
Okay,
Nemo.
all right. That said,
Rat Chef.
Finding Dory is in my top 5 Pixar movies of all time out of 21. That movie is consistently funny. The actors are I think the cast is bigger and better than the first one. I feel like it has more stronger themes in it. I love the storytelling in that movie. I guess spoilers for Finding Dory if you haven't. It came out a couple years ago.
Spoilers.
But spoilers for Finding Dory. Skip ahead 5 minutes, I guess, if you don't want to hear this. But the storytelling mechanism in that movie is based on her inability. She's an unreliable narrator, and the fact that she can't remember anything.
And I've only seen this one once. I've only seen Finding Dory one time.
Yeah. Well, you and me both, but I saw it last night.
But it's not as ingrained in my head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. She is remembering things bit by bit throughout the entire movie. And so, whereas a lot of movies kind of give you flashbacks periodically throughout the film to kind of flesh out the story, it's happening for her in real time. It's not like her character remembers all this stuff, but the audience is being let in on it. She's being let in on it at the same time that we are. And I thought that was just really brilliant storytelling, and something that you really can't do unless, other than the Bourne movies, where Jason Bourne literally has the same problem. He has amnesia and doesn't remember these things. It's really hard to do this in a film, and so the fact that she has that inability, I was going to say inability to remember things, makes the storytelling, I think, really exciting, and it is way funnier than the first one. The first one, I don't even think was trying to be funny for most of the film. This one is trying to be funny, and I think it nails it. I think it's up there for me with the same kind of humor as Toy Story. If you like the humor in Toy Story 4, for example, it's the same kind of silly, kids will giggle and laugh kind of silliness in this movie as there are in the two Toy Story movies. I think Dory is honestly one of the most fascinating characters that in any Pixar movie. Her just her innocence that again comes from her not remembering, but also willingness to just keep swimming is kind of the big phrase. And won't stop, can't stop, won't stop. Just has that fervor for I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna keep trying stuff until I can't try anymore, type of thing. The octopus, which I gotta look it up. I think the octopus, he sounds like the dad from Modern Family.
It's Ed O'Neill.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, it's Ed O'Neill.
So there's two characters from Modern Family. Modern Family is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I don't have to look this one up because I recognize his voice is very recognizable. But the guy that plays the beluga, there's a beluga whale in it, and it's Ty Burrell, also from Modern Family.
Yes.
So the grandpa and the dad in Modern Family are both in this movie, which is immediately scales it up for me just because I love those actors. But Sigourney Weaver is like, do you remember the Sigourney Weaver stuff? So here's the other thing I really like about Finding Dory, and something I did not see coming after watching the prequel. Half of this movie, more than half of this movie, I would say probably 60% of the movie takes place above water. So only about 30 or 40% of it is actually in the ocean. The other 60% is all above water. And
not possible.
Not possible. They survive by getting into glasses of water and little fish tanks and puddles and a number of different things. There's a driving scene where they're driving a car. Like it is very scaled up and very epic compared to the first movie. Sigourney Weaver is like the voice of this like SeaWorld, basically. Like again, about half of the movie takes place in the SeaWorld above grounds area, and they explore the entire facility. Like they're in quarantine, they're in the open ocean building, which is like this huge aquarium. I just loved how they were just gallivanting around this entire place and just finding ways to locomotion in the movie, I think, is half of the fun.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first movie, I didn't really care like where they were getting or how they were getting anywhere. Like this one was the fun was seeing like how are they going to pull this off? How are they going to get to this place above ground? So, but yeah, all the characters I think were really funny and admirable. Here's the last thing I'm going to say because I know I've been going kind of long on this segment, but my 3-year-old nearly had to stop watching Finding Nemo like 2 or 3 times because of how much terror she was feeling watching it. Like it is very
ominous,
scary, and like
shark.
Like she thought they were gonna die, like legit die in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
In Finding Dory, they take all that stuff out. And I think it's a lot more accessible for people with kids. I don't know that she'll want to go back and watch Finding Nemo anytime soon because she's a little too young, honestly, to have seen it probably. Finding Dory is a movie that she'll want to watch again and again. I can call that already. Cool. She hasn't seen it yet, but I know she's going to want to see it over and over again.
It's not quite as terror filled.
Now, this is the weird part. Finding Dory on most people's lists is like 16th, 17th. A
little lower.
Is way down to the bottom.
Do you know what it made?
I flipped those.
Do you have it pulled up right there?
How much it made?
Look at the amount that it made.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
$1 billion.
A literal billion. Yeah. 1.029 billion. And that's just in the box office. Who knows what that thing's made?
But it had a $200 million budget, which is...
Yeah. It made 5 times over its budget. So
Crush is back, the green sea turtle.
I don't understand the criticalness of this movie. Like a lot of critics, I mean, it has like a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's not like a bad movie. But people put this way down the list, like bottom 5 of most lists. So.
I think of some of the pacing stuff, and I think that I don't know, like maybe I don't know that it's that deep. I just think it's. I don't know, like the overall narrative, not the narrative, but like the overall tone of it, maybe.
Yeah, I could see one review that I read said that it basically is a rehash of the first movie. That they're just trying to find a family member. Mm-hmm. The movie is called Finding Dory, but it's mainly about Dory finding her parents. And so there's nothing new with this one because she's just trying to get to her parents, just like Marlon's trying to get to Nemo in the first one.
Right.
But for me, like this was just a lot more exciting because she's not just trying to find lost parents. She's the one that's lost. And I think that's why it's ultimately called Finding Dory. It's about her finding herself. Mm-hmm. But she is only able to find them in the end because she slowly, bit by bit, remembers how to get to the place where they are. So I thought it was great. It's in my top 5 Pixar movies of all time. And that could be some recency bias. Ask me in a couple of years if I still like it as much as I did. But
the last Pixar movie I saw was about a week and a half ago, and it was Monsters, Inc. Or no, Monsters University.
Okay.
And it is good. It's not near as good as Monsters, Inc., but
Yeah. Monsters University is usually pretty low down the list
And
as
it's
well.
like the third time I've seen Monsters University.
I would say I kind of did like a brief ranking of all the movies before we came into the studio. I had Monsters University kind of right down the middle. For me, I think half of the movies are better and half the movies are worse. But I did
You have a 1 through 21.
I do. Do you want me to? I'm going to go.
Here's what I'd like to do.
Yeah. I can
I've got a list.
Okay.
But it's brought to you by our friends at Ranker.com.
Oh, we love Ranker.
I'll do this, and then we'll compare it to Phil's list.
Okay. For people who don't know, Ranker is like a crowdsourced ranking site.
Ranker.com. Rank everything.
Yeah. Anyone can go to Ranker.com and just affect ranks.
You click up or down on it. You vote for everything is what it says.
Yeah.
All right. Number 21, Phil. What's Phil got?
Okay. Well, it's
you do what you want to do.
My list is 1 through 19. There's one movie I haven't seen and one movie I haven't seen in 12 years. So I have not seen Coco yet, so I can't rank that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eric Dicer really likes Coco, right?
Yeah, he loves that movie. And I've heard really great things.
It's good.
The music
it's
is
good.
phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Yeah, it really is.
So I've not seen that one yet. Ratatouille I've only seen once.
Wow, it's great.
And I saw it when it first released, which I believe was 2007. So at the time of this recording, 12 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
And I've not seen it since.
love Ratatouille.
I honestly, 12 and a half years, I don't remember anything from 12 and a half years ago.
The Good Dinosaur is one that I have not seen.
Okay.
That's literally the only one on this list I have not seen.
The Good Dinosaur is last on my list. So you're not missing much.
Okay, I've heard that.
That's
too.
number 19
I've
for
heard
me.
that as well. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
So you want me to start with 19 or 21? I'll do 21.
Do
on this
21.
List, 21 on Ranker.com for worst to best. Best to worst. How are you going to say it?
And we should say this right at the top.
21.
There's no such thing as a terrible Pixar movie.
No, they do a great job.
Like, even
and
the
they all
good-
make money.
Even The Good Dinosaur, which I don't think is that great, is still better than a lot of animated movies out there.
But
So.
number 21, and I disagree with this on Ranker.com, is Cars 3.
Okay.
Cars 3.
3, not 2. Yeah.
I'm going to rank that one up. So there you go.
You would probably put Cars 2 as your last?
I think Cars 2 is horrible.
It's a bad movie.
But I think Cars 3 is pretty good.
yeah.
I kind of like Cars 3. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go ahead and go to number 20.
Yeah.
Number 20 on Ranker.com's list of Pixar movies. Number 20 is The Good Dinosaur.
Okay. With everyone that you say, I'm going to tell where I put it in my list.
Giddy up.
So, Cars 3, I had 3 from the bottom.
Okay.
So, the only movie that's worse for me is Cars 2.
Okay. Number 19 on Ranker.com's list, Cars 2.
Yeah, that's second from the bottom for me.
Pretty horrible.
That movie's not good, man. Like I say that. It is fun to watch, but it's really hard to go back to.
But you know what they screwed up with on Cars 2 was that Cars 1 had its own tone.
Mm-hmm.
It had its own thing going on. What made it great was Radiator Springs and just the things all about the people there or the cars there and yada 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 and the racing. And then Cars 2 is like a spy movie about cars.
Yeah.
Weird. Anyway.
It's really weird. And lots of Tow Mater in that one.
Oh man. What do you got? Well, anytime you can get what's his face? Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
You know you got a winner. What's your number 19?
The Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Okay, number 18 on Ranker.com, Toy Story 4.
Ooh, man, that's low.
Really low.
I have
Now,
this could be recency bias again because we literally just saw the movie 6 months ago, but I have Toy Story 4 as 4th on my list overall. I love that movie.
Well, and I think it's because partially they have 126 ups and 39 downs. Well, the rest of these movies have a lot more votes on them.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they have some sort of little aggregator that makes it not just
That's
go to
true.
the top immediately.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people haven't seen Toy Story 4
Because
yet.
the percentage is a lot higher for their ups and the downs on this one.
I think that will change once Toy Story 4 comes out on video and everyone has a copy of it. So
Interesting. Okay. What do you got for 18?
I mean, I already said. I'll just say the ones that.
Okay.
Like when you say a movie, I'll tell where I put it on my list.
17 on the Ranker.com list is Incredibles 2.
Dude, that. Okay, so you ready for this?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, I didn't really like
Incredibles 2 is my number 1.
What?
That's my favorite Pixar movie.
Oh my gosh.
I love
Phil.
I love Incredibles 2.
Really?
Dude, it's so funny and I love the characters.
It's all right.
I love Elastigirl. She is honestly. So you want to know what I said when
Absolutely
when I
wanna
left when I left the theater?
Yes.
So as Jessica and I, my wife Jessica and I were leaving the theater, I literally this will pain you probably for me to say this, but I looked at her and I said, "That's not just one of the best Pixar movies ever made. I think it's one of my favorite superhero movies, period.
Wow.
Like taking into account the MCU, everything X-Men, like all the best even the Batman and Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Honestly, I would go back and watch Incredibles 2 just as much as any of those movies. I love Incredibles 2.
I mean,
It has one of the best action scenes.
I've seen it a couple times. He likes it.
Yeah, the scene where Elastigirl is chasing after that train and is like just like leaping across buildings and flipping and slingshotting herself. I was enraptured, man. Like the fight scene between Baby Jack and the raccoon is one of the hardest scenes I've ever laughed in any Pixar movie. It's so hilarious. I've gone back and watched just that clip. You can find it on YouTube. Just the 3-minute fight scene. It's a long 3-minute fight scene between Baby Jack and this raccoon. I watched that over and over again with Jordan, and we just sit there and just cackle at it, man. It is so funny.
It's awesome.
So
well, good.
Yeah, I like that movie probably more than most, and obviously they had it pretty low, but that's my number one.
16 on the ranker.com list is Finding Dory. Like you said earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't rank this that high.
I don't understand.
It's
hilarious, man. Great movie.
Well, a lot of people like it, but a lot of people don't like it, apparently. Brave, number 15.
I put that 10. That's another movie I've only seen once and I don't remember a lot of, but fun fact, recently Jordan and I read a Brave book, like an adaptation book. It's for 3-year-olds with lots of pictures and kind of low on story. I forgot how much I like that story. Like the story of basically like it's because of magic and stuff like that. Her dad turns into a bear, and then eventually like her kid, brother, sister, they get turned into animals, and it's a lot about marriage and basically like the way that the movie starts, for those who haven't seen it in a while, is there's like a archery tournament type of thing, and the winner of the archery tournament gets to marry her. So like she has no choice in the matter. It's kind of an arranged marriage type of situation, and has a lot to say about that and about how like she wants to choose. She actually wins the archery tournament. Like it's kind of Robin Hood style, but she like disguises herself, whatever, and wins the archery tournament. And she says, "I'm not marrying any of these fools." And there's a lot of mother-daughter stuff in the movie, like her kind of coming to terms with her mother on how things are going to go, and it's a coming of age tale about her too. So I like it. I liked it. It's not as captivating as some of their other stuff for me, but
I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. But it's kind of polarizing because on here it has like 1,300 votes to 1,200 votes, ups and downs. So 1,300 ups and 1,200 downs.
It's worth noting that this is Pixar's single princess movie. Like it's the only movie that they've done that has a Disney princess in it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Huh. 14 on ranker.com's list of Pixar movies. Number 14 is Coco.
Yep, still need to see it, man.
Pretty good. I think that
so you liked it.
I liked it, but now you're getting into some realm of movies that I kind of do like a lot. So 14, 13 may be the highest on my list it would possibly get.
Here are like the three things I know about Coco. Visually gorgeous. I've heard that it's just absolutely stunning to watch, like visually. The music is incredible, and I've heard some of it, and it is really good. I feel like the main song in that was nominated for some awards and stuff like that, so I think a lot of people respect it. And very divergent from typical Pixar, because it's exploring a non-American culture with a Day of the Dead kind of setting that a lot of Americans don't know about.
Well, and what it had to do is it had to like, I almost said promote, but it's not really that even. It's had to almost describe and explain this other culture that a lot of people don't know about without telling too much about it.
Yeah, over-explaining.
It's good storytelling.
Yeah.
To be able to just sit down and watch a movie, I couldn't.
I need to watch it soon.
Yeah, it's good.
We almost watched it last night, but talk about movies we probably shouldn't let our 3-year-old see.
I just think she would have so many more questions, and you'd be like, "Well, I mean,
I want to wait until she's old enough to really understand what it is."
And visually, it's skeletons.
Yeah,
so, that may freak her out.
Like she would watch it thinking it's about like ghouls and goblins and stuff, and that's not.
It's really
that's
not.
What it is.
It's not. It's a whole other. Otherworldly stuff.
We were talking about Coco this morning. You know what Jessica said? She said a lot of people kind of fear Day of the Dead type of stuff. She's like, it's really just Veterans Day, right? Like it's just remembering people that have gone before.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I'm sure there's if you really get down to it, there's some group of people that really lock into the dead aspect of it and turn it into something that, more
like Halloween. I mean, Halloween for most kids is about candy, but some people go too far with it.
Yeah, some people it's their holiday. Number 13 on Ranker.com's list, Monsters University. MU
13.
Yeah,
I have it 9. So pretty close.
It is, pretty well received movie, and I think I like those characters a lot. I mean, Billy Crystal and John Goodman are
They're always
awesome.
good.
So,
what do you think about the new characters?
They're good. They're fine. I mean, meh.
It's very different from the first movie from Monsters Inc. Meaning, the Monsters Inc. was really about 3 characters. Just the 2 main ones. I'm not including Boo
and the bad guy,
and then the bad guy. This one was like kind of like an ensemble cast. Like,
and it was about their growing up college days and that sort of thing. And so
I think it was a little lackluster in the fact that it was a prequel. Like we already kind of knew the outcome of a lot of things.
Still made a lot of money though, I'm sure. So.
Yeah.
Number 12 on the list of Ranker.com's Pixar movies, A Bug's Life. Not my favorite.
Yeah.
I've seen it, but and it's fine. It's not my favorite though.
A Bug's Life is 14 on my list. It's pretty low.
Makes sense.
It's bottom 5.
And then Cars, number 11, which kind of surprised me.
It's a little high for me.
Huge money. Can you look up real quick, how much money did Cars make at the box office?
Literal metric ton.
While you're doing that, I'm going to sing a song. Life is a highway. I'm gonna drive it all night long.
Okay, so not as much as the other ones. Had $120 million budget, $462 million. It sounds weird that we're saying $462 million profit or box office is not good, but compared to their other movies, it's half as much as some of their other ones.
Then we get into some rarefied air in the top 10 of Ranker.com's Pixar's movies. Inside Out, number 10. What do you think about Inside Out?
Number 3 for me. I love Inside Out.
I think it's great. I think it involves some very heavy emotional stuff, and I think you see these animated movies now starting to go beyond the old school Bugs Bunny, fun, cartoony, yada blah 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 stuff to some very meta, next level adult type things.
Inside Out is a movie that my 3-year-old right now loves because of the silliness, because of the all the different characters that are very one note, like anger or joy or sadness or whatever. She loves all those characters. She loves how they can kind of control the girl, that they live inside of, and she thinks there's a lot of like funny moments and toys that come to life and all these different areas in her brain, these different lands. But she will never understand the weight, the gravity of that movie, like what it really is saying for another 5 or 6 years at least. It is one of those movies that is the quintessential, like adults can love it for very different reasons than the kids. The kids can enjoy it on a surface level, but then adults can enjoy it on a deeper level.
I feel like it would be really hard to write that. Like those writers are pretty talented.
Oh yeah.
Number 8, Toy Story 2.
Yeah, I'm starting to doubt my ranking of this. Then I put that as number 2 overall.
No, I think it's great.
I love Toy Story 2.
Is a great movie.
Yeah,
they really hit their stride, and it wouldn't be for another 15 years before they make Toy Story 3.
Yeah,
wasn't that right?
That's true.
Wasn't it a long time?
There was a big gap. Yeah.
And then like Toy Story 3 was fine, and I enjoyed Toy Story 3 a lot because of Lotso Hugs Bear.
Yep.
Because it was like such a crazy character.
Yeah,
he's like a crazy, psychotic.
That movie's an emotional,
grumpy
ride.
Old man.
I ultimately have Toy Story 3 lowered down at number 8 on my list, just because it's a little hard to watch. Like it's really heavy and really sad and emotional, and it pulls on your heartstrings a little too hard, I think.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2 still has that levity, but also meaningful storytelling, and I love the idea of. I feel like all the Toy Story movies have explored kind of a different aspect of toys, and Toy Story 2 is all about the museumification of toys, like how toys shouldn't be played with. They should be restored and put up on a shelf, and no one ever plays with them ever again.
Well, and it's like how the Lego movie.
Yeah,
the Lego movie
exactly.
does.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
But for me, honestly, it's about the characters in that one. That's when we're first introduced to Jesse and Bullseye, and we get Spanish Buzz, and I love
Spanish Buzz is awesome, by the way.
That's in 2, right? Yeah, I think Spanish Buzz is in 2, and there's also
because in 3 they put Buzz in his reset like his default setting. And basically erase his mind.
I think those are flipped. No, you're right.
No,
you're right.
Just Lots of Hugs Bear. Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Big Baby is my favorite person.
Because two is two.
Hey there, Big Baby.
Two has the evil Buzz, the one that they found in the toy store.
Yes,
and then it also has Spanish Buzz where they put him in Spanish mode, which is hilarious. Those scenes are so funny.
I think this one on the list could go either way, up or down for people. For me, it's top 5 for sure. Wall-E.
Yeah, I have it pretty low on my list.
I love it.
Here's the best part of that movie is the second half. And the first half of the movie for me is a little too slow.
I think it's about this weird future.
Yeah.
I think, and I like that in movies. It's different than other Pixar movies because, man, the humans in that movie like go from like being like these degenerate characters to then at the end, at least there's some, and there's not very many humans in Pixar movies. Pixar movies don't have a lot of humans in them.
True. Yeah.
And so now the humans in the Pixar movie, and then Wall-E are like. He's fat, like their bone density is shrunk, like they're, like you know what I'm saying? They become so dependent on technology and screens.
Like I said,
blah, 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 blah.
If that whole movie was just the second half, I think I actually would have enjoyed it a lot more. The first 30 minutes are, for me, again, probably most people disagree. It's a little bit of a slog for me.
I think I like that about Wall-E though because he's like it just shows you how like alone he is.
Yeah,
and he's lived this existence. He doesn't know anything else.
Right.
And then he gets an experience with a new robot that shows up. And he's been there for hundreds of years, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's a good movie.
Number 6 on the Ranker.com list of Pixar movies, Toy Story 3.
Yeah, again for me, I have that at 8. It's a Toy Story movie, so it's going to be in my top 10. But well, I say that I have Toy Story 1 pretty low, but 3 of the Toy Story movies I have in my top 10, and yet for me, it's not. It's a little too serious for me. Like I wish there was just a little bit more happiness in the movie.
Another sad movie that ends on a high note. Let's get this. Up, number 5 on the Ranker.com list.
Yeah, I have that 11. I need to go back and watch it. I probably am not remembering that movie as well as it is.
So sad at points, but good.
Yeah.
Well done.
I love the storytelling in that.
Very good storytelling. Number 4, now we're really getting into some deep stuff here. Number 4, Monsters, Inc.
Okay, I have that at number 6, so pretty similar.
And then number 3, The Incredibles. And it followed by number 2 on the Ranker.com list, Finding Nemo.
Oh man,
isn't that crazy? That surprises me a lot.
Finding Nemo is for me bottom 5. It will always be bottom 5 for me. I don't understand the love for that movie.
I'm gonna give you this one. Finding Nemo has the most votes of any of these movies.
Oh yeah,
like straight up, most people have voted on that film.
Oh, that's interesting.
Weird, like by a lot. Weird. Well, I say by a lot. It and number 1. Number 1 is Toy Story, which makes sense.
One? Yeah. Ranker is kind of hard because it literally is crowdsourced. Like more people have seen Toy Story than any other movie.
And I think it's hard to. We ran it off that list. Or I read it off that list. It's not subjective. So like you know what I'm saying. It's like it's one of the. Rewind. It is subjective because I mean it could go either way with this, and everyone has their own taste on these kind of movies. So
yeah.
Anyway, there it is. So.
My top 5 is Incredibles 2. I love that movie. Toy Story 2, Inside Out. Toy Story 4, which again is recency bias, but I think Forky is one of the funniest characters they've had in any of the movies. How about
Forky? Breakout
great,
star. It's just trash.
I'll say this about Forky. Watching the trailers for that movie before going to see the actual film, I didn't think I was going to like his character. I thought, it's just a little too random. He's just literally made of trash. Like, what is this thing?
Yes.
And I fell in love with just his persona and his innocence and how, like, his transition from, like, literally wanting to go to the trash can every time he sees one at the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie where he's like, no, I'm a toy. And the girl Bonnie needs me. Like I'm a support blanket for her, basically.
Cool.
There's a lot of meaning in that movie.
Yeah, there is.
It's really good.
There is.
And
cool.
Bunny Ducky.
It's really funny. And the other, what's his face, Mr. What's the doll that's really creepy? That's the puppet.
Vincent. Oh, is it Vincent? Yeah, it's something like that.
Is it Vincent Miller?
Dude, they're some of the creepiest like
really
enemies
in
any Pixar movie, dude. Like,
yeah, because up to this point, Lots of Hugs Bear was
probably the creepiest, maybe.
Yeah.
Because what was the name of the guy in the second one? Lord Zed or Zoltar, or is that what is his name?
I think it's Zed. Is it?
I don't know. Anyway, but you can imagine. That wasn't as scary.
Yeah. Lotso was a little too much for me. I think he's a strong character, and he's very villainous.
He's very broken.
Yeah, and he has his backstory. Yeah,
and broken, and like he's turned into this.
Yeah,
and that's why I think I like him so much. And it's Ned Beatty, I think, is the
voice.
It's the voice, and he's just like, oh, there, big baby, blah 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 blah. It's like just like that guy, and it's so funny, like perfect.
I wrote a couple of different comments, and then we can move on to our next segment, I guess, unless you want to say more about Pixar. But you look at sequels, like movies that were quote unquote deserving of a sequel. I think some of the movies on the list that we mentioned are never going to get a sequel because they're perfect as a one-shot movie, like WALL-E. Like, how are they going to make a WALL-E sequel? I guess go into space somewhere else or whatever. But
maybe the humans come back and fall in their horrible ways and trash the Earth again.
I'd like to see a Brave 2. There's some movies on here that Up is one that we'll never get a sequel to. But of all things, they made a trilogy out of Cars, and that blows my mind. Like,
can I give you a 4-letter word of why they did this?
Is it clean?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a clean 4-letter word.
TOYS. Toys.
Yeah. No, you're right.
The only reason, because they are hey, that first one. Have you ever seen marketing for a movie more than Cars? Like we would go to the store and there would be Cars, everything. Cars blankets, Cars towels.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Cars, and more Cars. And then here's the best part, my favorite thing ever. You would go to the clearance section for years after, and there's piles of Cars crap everywhere. Seriously.
That's true.
Cars 2 didn't have as much because I think they made such an overrun.
They're probably really. I don't mean to come across as sexist or whatever, but like they're probably very popular with boys. Like those movies.
They knew their market.
Yeah. And not to say that Toy Story isn't popular with boys. I think Toy Story is probably the most even-handed. Like, I think boys and girls alike probably like it about the same. But yeah, they probably wanted to do a movie series with objects that boys would really gravitate towards, which totally makes sense. And they all made money. It's not like they're taking a loss by doing these films, but
no.
So bizarre to me. Like Toy Story, very deserving of a trilogy. I didn't see that never thought they would do a number 4, but I loved number 4. But yeah, weird that they made that first movie into a trilogy of films, especially after Cars 2. Like after all the hate that movie got, I was shocked to see them come back with a third one.
But they waited a while.
Yeah,
they waited a while, and they went back to the formula that made Cars 1.
Yeah,
delicious. Like
I think some of the other ones that are still pretty recent. I think we'll see sequels to some of those, maybe even like a third Monsters movie and stuff like that. One movie that they definitely have had lots of time to make a sequel to, and I guess have just decided they're not going to, is A Bug's Life. I think A Bug's Life was just a huge hit when it first came out. Mm-hmm. It is a little difficult to go back to. It's only the second movie they ever made. So
so now it's a ways off.
The animation is a little rough at times, but the movie's not bad. It's just that plot had been done so many times. Mm-hmm. It's a Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven type of story where these bugs. It's a spin on it. These circus bugs come in and have to save the town, and they train them up and fight them and stuff like that. Mandalorian and Star Trek and a bunch of other properties have done it. I'd like to see them take that cast though, because I think the cast was really good, and they're bugs. They're literal bugs. Like that's very unique for any kind of movie. It had the very unfortunate demise of coming out right after Ants in the same year.
Oh yeah. That was one of those Deep Impact.
We talked about
Armageddon.
We talked about that on the horror movie podcast.
It's a Deep Impact, and we talked about that actually.
Yeah,
with this exact thing.
Movies that come out together, like two totally different studios that are releasing the same movie. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to see a sequel to that. So yeah, why we didn't get A Bug's Life 2, but we did get Cars 2 and Cars 3 kind of blows my mind.
That's interesting.
Okay. real quick, I just kind of wanted to talk about something that we've kind of teased on some of our previous episodes. We haven't actually properly had a topic about it because for me, I find the business side of Disney Plus really fascinating, and I know we've maybe got some adults that are listening to this podcast that might be interested. But I found an article that I thought was really good and kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. Why are some movies delayed on Disney Plus? And they actually went through at least like 4 different categories for why movies would be delayed. And so I think a couple of them will be obvious, and then a couple of them maybe are not as well common knowledge, well-known data. So the first thing is, and I think probably a lot of people have seen this on Disney Plus, when you log into Disney Plus and you find a movie that you want to watch, but you can't watch it yet, it has this little red text or whatever that says, this movie's not available, it'll be available on, and then it'll followed by a date.
That's when the licensing deal probably runs out.
Yeah, so the first reason why some movies are not currently watchable on Disney Plus, and it's really smart of them to have placeholders for these movies, by the way, but is that they have pre-existing contracts. So even before Disney Plus even was like, even thought of by anyone as any exec at Disney, they already had contracts in place. So they said, Netflix, you can have this movie for the next 5 years. Hulu, you can do this movie for the next 3 years. And obviously they have to honor those contracts. They're not just going to burn bridges and say, okay, sorry, we're taking this. You can't stream it anymore, and go to legal battles. And there's, contracts. They probably lose the battles and stuff like that. So they're like, we're not going to mess with it. This stuff, like pre-existing contracts, we're going to let those ride out, and then we'll eventually come to the service. So even HBO has like exclusive rights to some of the Disney movies.
Yeah.
And so
legacy deals that they've made with those.
Yeah. And so they have to honor those deals. So eventually those will expire and they won't be renewed.
Right.
Because Disney has their own service now. So it'll be very interesting to see Disney Plus in a couple of years where they're like owning everything under one house. But that's not where we are today.
Right. I read a bunch of articles this week about people freaking out about Home Alone and Home Alone 2 going away this week.
Yeah.
And one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie also went away, and The Sandlot went away.
Okay.
And people were like, where do these go? Especially Home Alone. Like, I know we're coming out of Christmas, but like, it's a Christmas movie only because it's around Christmas time.
Right.
But it's a kid beating up 2 adults, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it can be watched any time of the year. But
like Die Hard.
But exactly. What you were talking about, those pre-existing deals, is why those went away. And they're talking about how they will eventually kind of come back and that sort of thing. But
yeah, so there will be day. I know we.
But people are not liking that. The other thing this week, I heard a lot of people talking about people ditching their subscription because of The Mandalorian going away, like being done.
Yeah, we kind of predicted that.
But that happens with Netflix. That happens with HBO.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, it happened with me this week with HBO because I'm like, I've been watching The Watchmen. And so, like, I'm like, it's done now. There were a couple movies on there that we waited around to watch, and we finally watched them. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. I'm sure people did that by the millions with Game of Thrones. Like, once Game of Thrones was on, they were in HBO. Once it was off, cancel it.
Stranger Things on Netflix probably gets that treatment,
that's
too.
True.
So.
Yeah. So that's all par for the course.
Par for the corpse.
Course.
I'm sorry.
Not corpse.
Par for the corpse.
That's another show. Another one is, and this was one I hadn't thought about as much, and I actually kind of noticed it earlier this week, but I hadn't really processed the information. But some films that you would think would be on the service are not technically owned by Disney. So, for example, MCU movies, pretty much every MCU movie is on there except the most recently stuff, but neither of the Spider-Man movies are on there.
Because they're Sony. Because they're owned by Sony.
They're owned by Sony. So, like, those movies were, like, co-produced. Like, Sony kind of shares rights with Marvel and stuff like that, but...
They share the character.
And
they each gain from the box office, but Sony really benefits from it. So,
yeah.
So Sony gets...
So those are owned by Sony.
Yeah.
I did not know this until this morning, Jack, and I feel like a dummy. I'm sure you probably know this.
I won't. That you're a dummy? I would never say that.
The Hulk is not owned by Disney. So the Hulk,
it Universal?
It's Universal Pictures.
Yeah.
So you'll never, unless they work out some kind of a deal with Universal, which anything can happen. Disney has the purchasing power. The Hulk currently is a Universal Pictures, so you won't see the Hulk movie, like the Ed Norton one that I guess has kind of been forgotten about.
Which is actually a good movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah,
when it came
I like
out.
that one too. But I mean that movie is technically canon, like with the MCU. Like I mean.
Yeah.
Black Widow's in that movie.
Yeah.
But
I think that's why Marvel did some weird stuff with. They just did some weird stuff with that character, but they had rights to the character,
yeah.
so they could use them.
So that's why that explains a totally separate question from this current discussion, but that's why you don't see the Hulk in his own movie, because they don't own the rights to him. So like when people talk about how like Thor Ragnarok is one of the best Hulk movies we've ever gotten, it's because they literally cannot do a Hulk movie.
Right.
Like they have to put him in these other movies.
They could do the Spider-Man thing that Marvel's done, where they're like, okay, now Universal and
true.
Marvel Studios could co-op together.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they feel like it's justified as much as Spider-Man, where they know the Spider-Man movie is going to make them a lot of money because they've done a billion of them now and changed the actor 3 times.
So you can watch the Hulk plenty on Disney Plus, but not in his own film.
I have great news along these same lines.
Oh yeah,
there are things that maybe aren't Disney, but since they purchased Fox, so that
right.
I've got great news for you, Phil.
Oh yeah,
you can watch Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You can watch it now. I know you've been wanting to watch it.
Yeah. How many streams do you think they've gotten on that movie?
Oh, I bet some. I would love to see the streaming numbers on each movie. I would like to see some chart, some breakdown.
Dude,
somebody has that. Someone has the analytics to share it with us too. I just want to see it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything with it.
I'm sure it's like the Avengers movie at like 1 billion views and then Silver Surfer at like 20,000.
And just to see the comparisons. Yeah. It's like when people talk about, on Netflix, they talk about The Office still being the #1 streamed show.
That's fascinating.
That is fascinating to me. I look at that and I go, don't you know, like, I don't know, Lizzie McGuire's the #1 streamed show or something on
people love
on
their
Disney
Office,
Plus,
man.
and you're like, what? Like
Seinfeld's got to be the same way. That's why that
it's on Hulu. Hulu paid big bucks.
They paid
to get the streaming rights.
It was $1 billion or $1 million?
A lot, high millions.
Yeah,
high millions.
It had to be more than $1 million.
Jerry Seinfeld's a genius.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So those, it is weird to have them omitted from the rest of the MCU movies, but that's kind of how that goes. I'm not sure that we'll see them on there. I like the 2 Spider-Man movies. I would love to see Homecoming and Far From Home on there, but I don't know that we'll ever see that. I mean, what does Sony have to gain? I guess they can take some royalties off of it.
But you think about Sony, I'd like to see a list of all the things that Sony actually owns.
Yeah.
Because that's not a company that will ever do a streaming service, right?
I feel like Sony wins more just by leaving it on Netflix. Like just
becomes the way you distribute it on
royalties.
there, and that's why Netflix can benefit from really trying to gather up all the rest of all the rest of things. I mean,
yeah. A third category is brand new films. This is probably not too much of a surprise, but I think it is important to note that Disney has come out publicly and said that they don't have any plans on changing the release schedule. So like now that Disney Plus is out, some people were kind of guessing like, oh, well maybe they'll shorten the gap like between theater release and available on Disney Plus. As of right now, this could change in the future, and I honestly think it could, like in maybe in a couple of years, not in the next 2 years probably, but I think eventually it could change. But as of right now, the release schedule is the same. So they're going to run a movie in the theaters for 2 or 3 months, depending on how well it's doing. Frozen 2 is still out at the time of this recording. Then about 4 months after a theater release, they'll do video sales, and I think that's the main reason they're not putting it on Disney Plus. Is they want those Blu-ray dollars, they want those
digital
rentals.
The digital rental.
Yeah, they want those dollars first for at least a few months.
Yeah.
Basically, what Disney has said is that you can watch Frozen 2 or any other movie 7 months after its initial theater release. So Frozen 2, as much as people would love to see it at home on Disney Plus in like March, April, that's not going to happen. It's going to be summer. It'll be June or July by the time we actually finally see it at Disney Plus. So, that's, I'm sure for some people that's upsetting, but that's just business, man. Like that's just how money dollar bills go. So, and then kind of a fourth category that they talked about was there are some movies that you will never see on there, like Song of the South.
Well, you won't ever see that.
1946.
You won't ever see that. So,
you also won't see other movies that are kind of in that same category, not because of the kind of the racial things that
or just the
are very offensive
generational stuff that back in the day people didn't really bat an eye about, but now I know someone will be offended by something. So.
I've not watched it. I've not done a comparison watching or anything, but I think there's a character or even a couple scenes that are completely deleted from the original Dumbo movie, the animated Dumbo movie, and there's a deleted scene or like a post-credit scene in Toy Story 2 Toy Story 2 that 3, I'm sorry, that got removed as well, just because it's controversial stuff. So you'll see some of that. But it's important to note that, again, at the time of this recording, Disney's confirmed they're not bringing rated R movies to the service. So technically, they own the rights to Deadpool and Logan and stuff like that, other Fox properties. But you won't see Deadpool and Logan on Disney Plus. They're going to keep it locked at PG-13 and lower. So
Well, and that's how they'll use, because Disney owns a pretty good stake in Hulu. I think that's how they're going to use Hulu for some of those rated R.
They'll still get their streaming dollars
Through that. So they're smart. They smart.
Now, I mentioned, I wrote down one kind of weird caveat. One is, so Tarzan, the animated Tarzan movie, which came out 20 years ago, 1999, a little over 20 years ago, is still not on Disney Plus, and it won't be on Disney Plus until summer of 2020.
Because?
Even though the movie came out 20 years ago.
Prior deal.
Yeah, so I tried to research this and figure out like what the heck is going on with Tarzan, because every other movie that came out, Lion King, everything that came out in the 90s is on there and has been on Disney Plus from day one. As far as I can tell, most people just think it was really bad timing. Like some intern or something signed a piece of paper at some point. Who knows? Like something went weird with Tarzan. And even though that movie is super old, it's not going to be on the service for like the first 7 months of Disney Plus. So if you love Tarzan, it's kind of maybe one of their lesser movies.
But I mean, but that Tarzan's got
I don't know. It was nominated for an Oscar.
The Phil Collins
soundtrack. You'll Be in My Heart. It was nominated for an Oscar, an Academy Award.
Big bucks there.
So it's a good movie, but I think that's just an unfortunate like bad timing error, like comedy of errors type of thing. Like it's just so weird to me that movie's not on the service. But so we don't have Toy Story 4 yet, not until 7 months have transpired. So I guess it's coming up pretty soon. But we do have like Forky Asked a Question and some other Toy Story 4 stuff on there. So yeah, that's all I got on that segment. I should say this. If you're not familiar already with this, if you go to Disney Plus and you like, say like, for example, I don't know, like you could probably do this with Toy Story 4 or Frozen 2 or whatever. Those may not have a link on there yet, but I know like old Star Wars movies, Last Jedi and things like that, you can add them to your watch list now, even though they're not available to watch right now. Yeah. And I don't know if you'll get a notification or something like that when they become available, but it will. There is a way to basically flag it so that like, hey, when this finally becomes available and I can watch this Avengers movie or whatever.
Give you a little notification.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
Cool.
What else are you watching on Disney Plus?
One thing I found, and I've actually got to look and see, because I read about this the other day. I'd never heard of this until the other day when I started reading about it. There's a Disney, in 1979, Disney came out with a movie called The Black Hole.
Oh, wow.
And it is basically their attempt at Star Wars.
Wow.
Look this thing up. That's what basically people are describing it as. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know if are you logged in to Disney Plus?
I can be.
Could you pull it up real quick? I want to see if it's on here.
Yeah, I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
Wow, it is like that. It's got a droid and everything.
Yeah, it's very much like that, and I'm very interested to see this because I may have to pull the old horror movie podcast out of mothballs. Maybe we do a dual episode where we talk about it on this show, and then we also just send it over to that show as well, and we go that route. Let's see this up here. It's the Black Hole.
So for one thing, I've never heard of this movie. It came out the same year as Star Wars, which is crazy to me.
Can I do a promo? Can I do a movie promo?
Yes, and I certainly didn't know it was on Disney Plus. So tell me about this.
The USS Cygnus is perched precariously at the edge of a black hole, the vast empty nothingness where space and time end. Anything that crosses its borders enters a universe of complete unknown. In this story of genius robots, mad humanoids, audiences take a spectacular descent into nature's ultimate mystery, the black hole.
So is this one that you've seen or are wanting to see?
I want to see it.
Okay.
And I was reading about this week, and I
want to see this too.
Yeah, I don't know if you do this, but I'll see something throughout the day, and then I'll get too busy working, blah, 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 blah. I bet you can play this trailer on here, can't you?
I don't know.
No? Okay, you don't want to? Okay.
We probably could. But.
Anyway, so long story short, I kept forgetting about it, and I forgot to keep looking. Look at that.
I'm kind of getting some Tron vibes from it.
This trailer has 1.4 million views.
Yeah, we're kind of scrubbing through the trailer.
I'm loving it. Look at that.
It is very...
Marching Star Wars, we are robots.
Stormtroopers, there's droids. Dude, that droid looks like R2D2.
Look at that. The bleeps and blorps. Shoot him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm
so
feeling this, man.
I'm excited about this. I'm hoping.
Dude, how about this movie coming out literally within months of Star Wars, the original Star Wars?
Like I said,
it looks nothing like it.
Well, and I'm hoping it's total crap. So.
It looks like total crap.
I'm hoping it's total crap.
I mean, like this person literally has tinfoil on her head.
Well, it just goes to
It's
show
cheap.
you.
You can
It
tell
just goes to
it's
show
cheap.
you, even a big company like Disney can make some stinkers.
How about that? Okay,
So I'm excited about
Black
this.
Hole available now.
I don't know. Like I said, maybe we. Oh, look at that tinfoil hat.
It's literally
That looks really
tinfoil.
bad.
Watch
The black hole.
At least watch the trailer on YouTube, if not the whole movie. But yeah, it's an hour and 37
Look
minute
at that.
movie.
That's a long trailer too. So.
Okay, wow.
There you go, pal.
You've got me interested.
Woo! Pump for the black hole.
So, Jordan, I've been watching Jordan this week. I've been off work every day this week, just because it's Christmas break and I work at the college. And she has been watching Muppet Moments. Have you checked any of these out? So it's very interesting. Muppet Moments are short, like literally 1 minute, like 1 minute or at the most 2 minutes long episodes of basically a Muppet character and a child, like a 3 or 4 year old kid, just having conversations. And it is honestly some of the funniest.
Sounds like Sesame Street.
Yeah, it is.
Bill?
It is very similar to Sesame Street. The kids are the cutest kids.
Look.
They're so funny. All of your favorite characters: Gonzo, Miss Piggy, Kermit, Fozzie Bear, Rolf. All of the characters are in this series. There are 41 episodes, which sounds like a lot, but keep in mind they're like a minute a piece. So like you could probably watch every episode in less than an hour, and they're really, really funny. And honestly, I was telling Jessica about it because it was just me and Jordan that watched it. Jordan was dying. She was laughing at like every episode. It is funny not just because the kids are silly, but also because the Muppet characters are also really funny in it too. I think it's a testament to the improv nature of Muppets, like that the actors this one with the bear, like this like big like huge teddy bear, not Fozzie Bear, is like
Bobo.
Bobo, is like, and they're kid topics, so like they're talking about your ears or letters or numbers, but then also like heavier stuff like marriage, or I mean it's lighthearted, silly stuff. But what do you think about marriage, or what do you think about Christmas, or what are your favorite foods? There's this newsflash guy that comes on about every 5 or 6 episodes, and he's literally, it's improv on the kids side. So he says, he goes, this just in, this kid can make a silly face, and then it's literally on that kid to like make a silly face just on the spot. And it is so hilarious. Like some of the things go as planned, things don't go as planned because you're dealing with kids.
Yeah.
And the ability of these actors to react on the spot with some of the funniest lines is fascinating.
Really good ad lib.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love it.
So it's not quite like Robin Williams level. Like he was kind of the master at ad lib, just on the spot.
Unbelievable.
But it's pretty close, pretty similar at times. So
Cool.
Highly recommend it. Honestly,
Muppet Moments.
It says they came out in 2014, so it must have come out as something like Hulu probably. But I had not heard of it. It's been out for 5 years.
Maybe digital stuff. Maybe a Muppet
like website or something.
The
Muppet.com.
Muppets have a YouTube channel. I mean, it's YouTube channel. So
it's all gorgeous.
Is there any
1080p
Swedish
HD.
chef?
I think so.
Is the
We didn't watch
Swedish
all
chef-
of them.
He's
watched
hard to
about half of
understand.
them.
He is very hard to understand, though,
Yeah.
but very funny.
Yeah. There's one where Fozzie Bear says he loves jokes or whatever, and he asks the kid to tell a joke, and it's like a total kid joke. Like it is really, really worth a watch. Even if you don't have children, it deserves a watch in my opinion.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Muppet Moments.
So Muppet Moments, check it out for free. If you have Disney Plus, you already have access.
Beautiful.
Well, that's about it, I think, for this episode.
Okay.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Here is what we're going to talk about next week. I will be watching this movie for the first time. Jack has seen it, but we talked about movies that are kind of delayed or late to come to Disney Plus. I guess it's been about 7 months, but Aladdin came out last year, the 2019
Yes.
in-person remake. And I thought about this too. Like, I want us to watch Aladdin. You don't have to watch it again if you don't want to, but I'm going to watch it for the first time. So I'll have some fresh takes on it. It doesn't come out until Wednesday. If you're listening to this right after we record it, it's coming out on the 8th of January. We're going to review it just a few days later on Saturday. Post this by Saturday night or Sunday of next week. By the way, we are going to start recording on Saturdays, so we'll get this up a day earlier than what we were doing for Mandalorian. But yeah, I want to talk about Aladdin, the 2019 live action movie, and then I also want to kind of talk about just live action remakes in general. What Disney's kind of their new fad over the last 4 or 5 years has been to kind of. I want to talk about The Lion King, good or bad.
Jungle Book.
Yeah, Jungle Book. Lots of those movies have been redone. Even some of the princess ones have been redone. Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast. So
can I tell you? Can I give you a 5-letter word for why they're doing these?
M.
Money, 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 money. Everybody's got a price.
What you're telling us that we don't have to write a story, but we can still make $1 billion?
Let's see. If you like things like that, watch the pitch meetings on ScreenRant.com.
Oh, so good.
They're pretty darn good. He goes over that a lot.
I think eventually I would like to see the Lady and the Tramp movie, but I want to see this one more. So we're going to watch Aladdin and then review that movie next week. So if you haven't watched Aladdin, now's your time. You can watch it for free if you have Disney Plus as of January 8th. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. 2 weeks from now, tentatively, no promises, but I think we're going to maybe try to talk about High School Musical, the musical series.
I really hope it works out. We've got several people. I want to say several people, and you can include all of us.
There could be as many as 5 people in the studio
talking about it, and we'll make sure to moderate it in a way that it makes sense audibly. But
we have 3 friends that have been watching it,
and are big fans.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Neither one of us have watched it. No. Right? Okay. I'll
need to watch it at least a little bit to get a feel for it. Even though turning it over to them,
I
might
mostly
be fun.
just kind of want to watch them, the 3 of them,
interact
talk about it. So one of them won't be in studio.
I love the 3 movies, though. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm saying, yeah, this could make sense. I love the 3 movies, and my son loves the 3 movies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I need to watch some of those.
Here's
episodes.
how removed I am from the property of High School Musical. I've only seen the 3rd one. So,
really?
Yeah.
Well, it was in theaters.
Yeah.
My favorite is the 2nd one.
Oh, okay.
It's summer.
This has no connection to the movies at all, right?
Screech is not in it. Zach Morris isn't. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
None of them are in it. Zach Efron's not in it. Nobody's in it.
Okay.
But we will, like I said, I will watch some episodes of it.
Yeah, I'll watch at least 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
How long are the episodes? Like 40 minutes or whatever? Is that
Probably.
Mandalorian?
It's normal, yeah.
I'll probably watch a couple episodes. I'm not going to watch the whole series. I can tell you that right now. I don't want to
say that. You may watch and be like, I love it.
I don't want to spoil anything. Kind of let them talk about it, but I think at least a couple of our friends are pretty high on it. They like it. So we will talk about that in a couple weeks. But until then, have a great week. Watch Aladdin as of Wednesday as we record this, and we'll see you next time.
It's a whole new world. Don't you dare close your eyes.
Every moment gets better.
Oh, I love you.